life can hit like a sledgehammer. But guess what? We hit back harder. Welcome to Affirm That Sh. Somehow, I thrived. I'm Jennifer Rogers, your no BS guide to turning life's toughest moments into badass victories. Ready to flip the script? Let's affirm that life can be a bitch, but somehow we thrive. Welcome to Affirm That Shit. I'm Jennifer Rogers, your host, and today I have with me the co-founder of the Sacred Utori Collective, one of my very best friends, Connie Walton. Well, I guess it's not Connie Walton anymore, is
It's
it?
true. It is now Connie Dunn, but all my stuff is still Connie Walton.
All right, Miss Connie Walton, she is done. Sorry, fellas, you missed your chance. It's a wrap. And along with us today is our beautiful host, Miss Portia Booker. She is filling in for me today, and I'm going to be sitting in the guest suite along with Connie, answering questions about the Sacred Utori Collective and our 2026 retreat. So with that, Miss Portia, handing off the reins of host to you.
Well, thank you, Jennifer. And Connie, congrats on tying the knot, right? So many of
Thank
us
you.
are tying new endeavors into our life, right? And Jennifer and Connie, we know that the retreat that you're hosting is in March of 2026. And I'm curious, for starters, can you share with our audience your experience of going to a retreat, both from a presenter standpoint and also from a guest standpoint? And what's something that you've taken away from one of these retreats that you want to share with others in the same space?
I'll take over for at least in the spot of being the retreat participant. One of my biggest retreat memories was I did a spiritual retreat. This was coming into my spirituality. So it was at the very beginning where I came in with a clean slate. Like I really didn't know much about embodiment work, manifestation, any of that. And one of the biggest things is first you're meeting like-minded people. So going into that safe space, that safe container to do the work, do the shadow work, the journaling, to figure out who you are, what brought you to this point, the things to look back on and what you need to work on for healing wise, limiting beliefs that you don't even know are present. So that was a big point for me, was first having the opportunity with, like Jennifer, like I actually had met my retreat person from a podcast. So already kind of having that, I kind of know them from listening to their podcast, then going to the retreat and meeting them and just being held in that sacred space was huge. The women that were there were also very like-minded, from all different cultures, all different backgrounds. There was nursing, which is what I was at the time, as well as other fitness coaches, manifestation coaches, it was a whole different group. And just being able to have the tools, participating in like a sacred cacao ceremony, which I had never done before, hadn't even heard of it. There was ice plunge. So we were doing ice baths and like just having that support to go through those. That's a hard thing to do, to make yourself get in that thing for however long, tub full of ice water. But big memories like that. They had a boudoir photo shoot where you were able to step into that sacred feminine and feel so seen, and then be able to see yourself in that image. The biggest thing is, one, finding out new tools, breath work, Reiki, journaling, all the things, but then being taught how to be able to embody it and continue the journey when you are out of that heightened energy of everyone together experiencing these new experiences, but being able to be led on a journey on how to bring it back home with you and to keep incorporating the changes that you've learned, the embodiment practices, because it doesn't just stop after the retreat, right? And that's the biggest thing, is to be held during that time and then still given the tools that are practical that you can do every day. So all in all, it was just a very powerful, life-changing experience that everyone should be able to witness and to be able to experience, because it is something we're not taught, you know. It's something that culturally and religiously and all of that, we're not taught to do these things ourselves. We're taught that you have to go through someone else to, you know, all the things on that. I'm not even going to get into that part of it, but it was just a very beautiful experience, and to have the community, the tools, and all of that to take back with you. Long story short.
But I
Well,
mean,
Connie, and how long was your retreat that you attended?
The retreat I attended was just a 2-day retreat. And you wouldn't think that a lot can happen in 2 days, but it does. And you feel the shift immediately there, but then to still be able to feel that afterwards is huge to continue your journey.
And that's why I wanted to ask, because all of the things that you just shared with us, you're still carrying those with you today. It was a 2-day retreat. And how many years ago now has it been for you?
That was back in 2021, so 3 years ago, 4 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
See, it was so good, she
I
lost
know,
time.
it just flies by.
right. And what about you, Jennifer?
So for me, I'm on the opposite side where I've actually hosted a retreat before. And for many of the same reasons that Connie mentioned, we don't know how to do these things. We were not shown how to do these things, or we don't know where to go to look for these things. And so my retreat was born out of that reason right there. Was I was looking for a sisterhood, a group of like-minded individuals that, you know, maybe we weren't following the same path 100% of the time, but we were all connected somewhere along the way in just a brief moment. And I, for a long time, would say, well, I just held a small retreat, or only this number of people came together. But in truth, 34 women came together for a day. And in that day, I met my best friend. I met my business partner and co-founder, because of a dream I had sparked an even deeper dream in us. There was healing that took place. There was love that took place. There was fun. There was dancing. There was crying. There was tears shed. There was gifts exchanged. But it's for this reason right here that I done it. And that's the gift that I want to give back to others in our upcoming retreat, that you might think it was just a 2-day event, but there's some life-changing opportunities waiting for you.
You know, Connie, you said something that I want to go back on. You went to this retreat based on meeting the host of it from a podcast, right? And I'm curious, can you talk about putting your trust into something that's unknown, right? Because I think so many of us as women, we're hesitant because of the overcrowding and oversaturation of the promises and under delivery. So how did you build that trust wall and shed that limiting belief to take that leap of faith? And same with you, Jennifer, too.
I think the biggest thing for me was, one, listening to her podcast. I pretty much binged it. And then you get that connection and that energy of who the person is. So that, of course, was the first step, that I already kind of felt like I knew the person. Basically, you're looking at yourself as, I want to be that person. I want to be able to embody those practices, and I want that peace within myself. So that's the first key for me, was getting that connection. Second one was finally putting myself first and making the investment. Like, it was an investment, I'm not going to lie. But in order to, and of course, I didn't know this stuff at the time because I hadn't really started the spiritual journey and the manifestation journey, but you just have that intuitive knowing of, this is what I'm meant to do. This is where my next step is. And so, like, I worked extra ER shifts to be able to make the money, to be able to put forth, you know, because we have our bills, we have our daily stuff that we have to do, and who has that money just sitting around? So the biggest thing is, when you commit to something in your mind that I want this, you can find the way to make it work, right? It's prioritizing what you really want. And so that was my second step. I worked my butt off to be able to afford to purchase this, and there were payment plans, so it made it easier.
Hi, my name is Connie Walton,
And I'm Jennifer Rogers.
and together we are the co-founders of the Sacred Utori Collective.
Sacred Utori Collective invites you to come spend time with us March 2026 in this beautiful home in Broken Bow, Oklahoma. It's a retreat where you will find yourself in a quiet space with your soul sisters, reliving, replenishing, and reigniting your soul.
To find out more, visit our website at sacredutoricollective.com to snag your ticket to this beautiful retreat. It's a once in a lifetime and you don't want to miss it.
But then once I invested in myself, that also lit the fire, right? Okay, I'm really doing this. I'm not backing out because I am invested. And so after I made the investment, then I knew for sure I was going to do it, and making that commitment, because I drove 8 hours to this retreat and never meeting any of these people, right? Like I drove the 8 hours and I don't regret it. Like it was such the words like catalyst, but it was such like a big life event for me because I was going through an unhappy marriage. It was right after COVID. And so there was a lot of life-changing things that happened that I could have easily been like, I can't afford that. Maybe next year, maybe another time. We always question what we really want that's in our life path purpose for other things. Or we put ourselves on the back burner. So the biggest thing is committing to yourself and holding it out. I don't know if I answered all your question.
No, I think it's great because that's right along the lines of me wanting to host the retreat, Portia, is how do I do it? What do I do? It wasn't like I had listened to a podcast and was like, I'm going to go enjoy something. I had a vision of what I wanted to bring. And so literally it was what Connie said. Is this something I really want? It is. And what kind of value do I want to bring to these ladies? So the very first thing was setting with that intention, because if we really look at our wants list, it can get really long, right? But you have to narrow down what's important and prioritize. Okay, great. Now that I knew what I wanted to offer, who can offer those things? Because I can't be everything to everybody. So I need to reach out, branch out, and who can do these things that I want? And how the hell am I going to pay for this? Because the rental space that I originally chose, I thought I might have 10 or 12 people show up. So I chose a small venue. And then as the calls were coming in, I quickly realized I need a much larger venue. And that much larger venue was over $800. How do I come up with it? That extra $4 cup of coffee that I've been splurging on myself. We can pack our lunches. I can pick up a few Reiki sessions. There's things that I can do to put money aside for this. Great, okay. But I want to share one of the biggest things that I wanted for the retreat that I held, which was through the Perea Meraki, and we called it the Healing Retreat, because many of the ladies in the group are reaching out and saying, man, I'm feeling this way, or I'm feeling this way. And what I found was we were all hurting somewhere, and we all needed that space and that moment just to be listened to. I don't need somebody to just talk at me. I need somebody to listen to me, and I need these things. So what does healing look like? What are things that mean healing to different people? So we had stories of overcoming. We had a meditation. We had a dance fitness. We had someone teach us CPR. I mean, we had so many things, but my big ticket item for me was laughter, because laughter is medicine. All those other things were wonderful and they're great. And maybe they were a new introduction, sound therapy might have been a new introduction, but we all love to laugh. We all love a good cheesy joke, admit it or not. Dad jokes are pretty funny. And so I eyed my prize to a female comedian. I want a female comedian. And we're here in Oklahoma. And so I thought there's got to be an Oklahoma comedian. Well, sure enough, you go out to social media and there's a Facebook group. And so I put out, feelers. I really am looking for a female comedian. And so I connected with one and she was amazing. And I said, here's what I've got planned. Let me know, kind of where your thoughts are. And she's like, great, no problem. I can do it for you, but it's going to be this amount of money for this amount of time. So again, this amount of money for this amount of time. And I thought, wow, I have no doubt that you can deliver. I know you can. However, everything is coming out of my pocket. And I was hoping maybe you had some material you wanted to practice on someone, and we might be that audience. And so that really wasn't her flow. And so I respected and understood that because, we all have a price that we ask for in our services. But I just kept saying, man, I want that comedian. I want her. I know she's going to be amazing. And Portia and Connie, you both know I'm somebody of affirmations, as it says in the podcast. I'm someone who puts it on the vision board and it's going to happen. And a few days later, she comes back to me and she says, I saw that you had vendor booth space available. And if you still have a space, we would take a space and if you would waive the vendor fee for us. And I'm like, you got it. Come on. And let me make it even better for you. If you'll do my t-shirts for the event, I'll buy my t-shirts from you, so that she was receiving some sort of compensation. But that total for me, just out of my own pocket, because I thought, well, I'll charge a small door fee. And then as the day approached, I couldn't charge because I had a feeling in my heart what was going to happen that day. And it was magnificent. And I brought in a $20 bill from the event, and there was many, many, many more $20 bills that left my bank account that day. But again, the connections, the trusting that I'm going for a reason, doesn't matter if I know someone or not. I'm going for me, and all the other gaps will fill in.
I'm glad both of you touched on the investment piece, because I know that tends to be an energetic block. Connie, you brought up, look, I'm going to pick up some extra shifts in the ER. Jennifer, right? I'm going to cut back on buying my nice cup of coffee for the day from Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts, wherever, right? And I'm curious for both of you, how can we help other women to reframe the word investment, right? Instead of seeing it from a currency standpoint, right? Look at it as another way of showing yourself self-love.
I think the biggest thing on that is making it more of an energetic investment instead of monetary. It's easy to see it as I can't afford this, or this is too expensive, or maybe not this year, maybe next year I'll have more money. Whereas when you look at it from that frame of mind, you're always in the lack. That you're never going to have enough money when you look at it that way. Where what would I be willing to spend, to trade, to cut back, whatever, in order to become this version that's ready to put herself first, to invest in herself? Shifting it from monetary to energetic, saying the affirmations, getting into that self embodiment where you see yourself as, I am the successful person who doesn't have to cut back on things. Like, I am that person, fully bringing it from within. I think that was the biggest thing for me, is the turning point of, I owe myself this. Like, I am ready to make the changes to become this person, instead of continuing to be the person who always waits.
I don't think that can be followed up any more beautifully. I think she's got it right.
When I think you're right, we tend to put an energetic cap on manifestation, right? As both of you have alluded to today, that changing your mindset, right? Being open to how the universe is going to work it out for you, right? Jennifer, like with the comedian, right? Even for you, Connie, picking up those extra shifts, taking that leap of faith to be amongst a new group of people. Essentially, you've been paid back, right? Look at you, Jennifer. Both of you have created a joint venture together to pay it forward and help other women to really put themselves first for once, right? Why do we have to get to the point where our arms are hurting, our stomachs hurting, we got cramps everywhere before we decide, oh, I need me time too. I need to pour back into me, right? And I'll get a little personal from something that happened to me today, where I recognized that I was the one causing my own pain because I was still stuck in a mindset of lack. And what I mean by that is I was still in a mindset of everybody's still out to do me in. But really, that's not the case at all, right? Everyone is doing the best that they can with the best that they know. And the reason why we're in the entrepreneurship space is because we have an expertise and a genius that somebody else needs. And we have to remember that we're the ones that they chose to work with. So we have to find that gratitude in that moment, and also being able to help them as a leader to develop in their space of genius with our knowledge and information. And I think that's the same thing, Connie, that you and Jennifer are going to provide at your retreat, is giving women not only opportunity to shed limiting beliefs, right? Talk about the real hurts in life, right? The over-promising and under-delivering, right? And being open to building sisterhood. Because let's be realistic, there's still a lot of, I hate to say it, nailing each other to their own coffin amongst women in the business space, similar to in corporate. So as we wrap up today, Jennifer and Connie, for our audience today, can you share with them how they can really take the leap, right? What key question can they ask themselves today to help them to really put that investment into themselves in order to up level and become that best version of them for the future?
I think the big thing is to ask yourself, who are you now and who are you ready to become? I think that's a huge part of the transformation and the fully diving into investing in yourself is, are you tired of who you are now? And are you ready to become who you want to be?
And I'm giggling, I'm sure you heard me just because that was exactly where I was going. My simple question was, are you ready? Are you ready? And if this is something that your mother or your daughter wanted, and you knew that you could do it for them, why don't you do it for yourself?
I agree. Are you ready? Are you ready to step into the unknown? Are you ready to do it afraid? Not knowing what's on the other side, but that's the beautiful part, right? It's kind of like when you're riding a roller coaster for the first time, right? You see all the people from the ground getting on this 60-foot roller coaster. You know they're afraid. You know that once they get over the first big hump, then they're all fine and dandy. But it's that anticipation of when you're going to go over that hump, the fear of getting to the hump of the roller coaster going down that you're missing out on.
Yes. Yes.
So I encourage those of you out there, like what Jennifer and Connie said, are you ready? What version of you are you ready to become?
You just took another step towards owning your story and thriving against all odds. This is Affirm That Shit. Somehow, I thrived. If you're ready to keep kicking ass, subscribe now and let's keep breaking barriers together. Remember, life's a battle, but somehow you'll thrive.